Hi everybody, welcome back to my weekly lives. I'm Jasmine Navarro, certified wellbeing expert, working with educational institutions and companies supporting their family wellbeing. And as you know, every week I interview different experts who make a difference in people's lives. And today I am extra with a capital E excited to be interviewing Beatrix, my amazing friend and amazing person. Beatrix, please can you tell us what you do and who you are?
Well, it's a very good question that I keep asking myself all the time, who I am being and who it is I am. I think right now I mostly connect with just enabling people, empowering people, and empowering myself to become the best, whoever I can be, whatever that potential is. Use all my knowledge, all my experience for myself, for others. So it might sound very cliche, to make the world a better place, but that's really something I'm working on.
Wow. Well, I don't think you can beat that. And I'm so happy that we're finally doing our live because I think we've been planning it for a couple of years.
Yep.
And
Several iterations. Right.
yes, and we did our first live together on Instagram. But anyway, let's talk about, so you mentioned stability, sustainability and education. What made you decide this topic?
These are really how I see myself, my life right now at this moment. It's a beautiful transition. After 20 years in education, I'm transitioning more into the entrepreneurial world. And I found a link, and the link for me is where I am right now is the lifelong learning, developing all those skills that you need to create yourself a happy life, a fulfilled life. And at the same time, I am getting to know more about what other people are doing to make the world a better place. And there seems to be so much resonance here. So when you think about it, what you are trying to create as a coach in your life and in other people's lives, kind of long lasting habits, kind of ownership, that you have ownership over your own life. You can make choices, you can create your life, you can co-create with others. Amazing, beautiful concept. And that's a very sustainable concept, in fact, And if
Wow.
we broaden this term, then actually what we can do, we can include not only ourselves, our community, but also, the larger and larger community, which is called planet Earth, and the population at large. But we always start with ourselves. It always starts with me. It always starts with you. And then you go into the people around you. And then you just, enlarge that circle. And at a point, you don't even notice the impact you are creating on people's lives. You might never meet them, but they still are learning from you. And that's where I found this link between sustainability and education.
Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting that answer at all. And I absolutely love that answer. And even when like you were saying it, of course I agree with everything that you were saying, but even when you were saying it, it just made me feel like, it's a process, isn't it? Like when you were describing it, it just sounded like a process. And I think that's the really important thing for me to mention is it's a process and it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a quick fix. It's not like, let's do this, let's change ourselves, let's change this, done, finished. It's a process and it takes work. And that's just what I got from when you were saying that. So
Yeah, it is a process, and it's also creation of the moment. So
yeah.
the more you live, your days, the more you realize how much you can create in your own life. You can create the thoughts you are thinking. You can create, the feelings you are having when you are responding, or when you decide to respond to a certain, action or trigger in your life, and you are creating, your life at the largest. And that's an amazing experience, but it also requires you to continuously work on it, continuously reinforcing this experience of creation. And,
And
by just doing this, by just being this creator, you are actually inviting others to do the same in their own life.
Yeah. And then when they start doing the same, it sort of reinforces what you're doing. So it's like you're helping them, but then they come back and help you. It's
Yeah. Isn't it the case every time you're coaching someone, for example, that you leave the coaching session so much, uplifted, so grateful, with so much positive energy, because you were helping others, but also you're helping yourself. So it's a win-win.
Always. That always happens, because some people say to me, oh, how can you coach people? Doesn't it affect you and things like that? And I said, never. It always makes me feel, I always feel better after a session when I'm coaching somebody. Always.
True.
Like, yeah. And maybe that's why, because we're helping. But what would you say to people what would you say? Would you say the same thing then to people who get emotionally attached?
I would definitely say that this is the case every time you're in the coaching session as a coach, that it's always uplifting. It never feels like a therapy that people are, just dropping things on you and then you are carrying the weight. No, because it's not your choice. It's not your life. You're just basically the listener, the sounding board. You're reflecting what they are projecting, just to enhance that self-reflection and that experience of self-reflection. But always you live with learnings. You leave every single session more empowered, standing more in your power, being more aware of what you can bring to the planet, what you can bring to people. And I would say that also happens if you are just naturally using coaching skills in an everyday conversation. If you just naturally acknowledge others, appreciate others, their efforts, if you're just being grateful for a small thing somebody does, brings the same feeling, just basic, like, human, interactions. If you look at them that way, but for that you need to change the perspective. Is it annoying me, or is it bringing me a learning?
Always. That's exactly, especially if you're triggered or something. Before, I would be like, oh, I don't like this person, how they make me feel, but now it's like, no, what do I need to work on now?
Yes. And that's specifically true. And I was just saying that the other day to someone, that when you are a coach and previously you have been an educator, it's a very natural transition, kind of. But when you enter the business world as a company owner, and then you enter the world of people who don't know anything about coaching, all they care about is, profit, interest, how to grow their business, etc., then you start being more mindful of those conversations, because then primarily you are working on yourself. And that's what my experience has been, since I left the full-time job, went fully into the entrepreneurial world. It was that kind of an experience that now I really have to work a lot more on myself if I want this business to grow.
Oh, definitely. And that's what it is, isn't it? Because I don't know about you, it's a lot of emotions. Like for me, it's dealing with lots and lots of emotions that come up, whether it be fear, anxiety, mainly fear, actually.
Yes.
Fear comes up a lot. Fear and stress seem to be like the things that are coming up. And it's like, wow, this is a huge learning. And I guess when you coach yourself or be coached, and like it is a process, isn't it? You might not get the answers straight away, but then you start like getting the answers slowly. And then suddenly, like yesterday, I had a huge realization. I was just like, wow, I can see things completely differently now. And I need to focus on this. Why haven't I not been focused on this? But it's like, no, it's okay, because that time I wasn't ready. I couldn't see, it wasn't the right time, because I think there's a time for each learning as well, isn't there? Do you think?
Yes. Whenever you're ready. And what you just shared, it kind of highlighted 2 points. One of them is that you keep having those small reflection sessions to see, why am I creating this experience for myself? Either it's a misery or a very challenging situation, or any other, moment that can happen in your life. And then being ready and open to see the learning in it, to see that insight, to see that realization inside. it's also amazing. And what you said at the end, why didn't I notice it, like a couple years back? Being compassionate with yourself, that, okay, every learning comes in its own time, and that's absolutely fine. So we are not born perfect, but we are learning, and we are taking, that step by step.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing, being compassionate. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Because if you're not, that's all part of it. The accepting yourself, being compassionate with yourself, being patient. I think that's another one, being patient with myself. Yeah, I think that's a big one. So what about you? What things are you working on, or what helps you?
I think what really helps is this tool set, it's this whole toolkit that you get when you get into different coaching schools, when you start having, individual team coaching sessions, you start working on yourself, you go through different phases in your life. And then now it's really the time when primarily I have to work on myself to apply those coaching skills day in and day out, and to apply the learnings day in and day out. And I just wanted to say and maybe a little bit highlight that it's a little bit, not little bit, but it's very much different when you are a coach and you have a coaching business and you tell business owners that you need to invest in coaching. And it's different when you are a business owner and you need a coach, it's kind of, they do co-create. There is wonderful collaborations there. But I only realized how important it is to have access to coaching tools, techniques, to have access to a coach when I started focusing on happy people and creating happy people.
Wow, really?
Because before it was, I knew it, like it helped me, it's definitely going to help you and the company and your teams. But now somebody who is, in a different business, but still having access to coaching and coaching tools, now I realize it's even more important.
How come?
I would highlight it even more that if you're a business owner, you feel stuck, just go get a coach. You might not need a friend because your friend might, just tell you, maybe just reflect your own fear, maybe just going to, be super biased towards one thing or another. But the good thing in a coach for any business owner that you get a sounding board, you don't get biases, you don't get advice. So you can just find that very, very customized solution for yourself that you are looking for.
Wow, exactly. Because and it'll be your real answer for your business, for you, because it's come from you. And
Exactly.
it might take longer to get there, but it's come from you, so it will be right. Whereas if maybe you're talking to friends, you might get persuaded or convinced to do something. And it might be a quick solution you might find, but actually long down the road, it doesn't actually work because it's not really your.
Yeah. And if you talk to think about it, if you talk to a consultant, if you talk to another business owner about a certain idea, how they are going to approach it is how it's in their best interest, not how it's in your own best interest. So that makes a huge difference. And at the same time, I would probably highlight another point that and I read it somewhere, that your business can grow only as much as you are capable of growing. Wow. If you stop growing, your business stops growing.
Yes. It's so true. It's so true. And that's why I think, I understand when you said, well, you need the business coach. You can see how valuable it is when you have the business, because having a business, well, it challenges you in every way, doesn't it? The challenges you have. So if you're not continuing to level up, how can your business? Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? You are your business.
Yes, you are the face of your business. So the business is not equally you. You are much more than your business. But to realize that potential in you, the strengths you are having, or those areas where you just need help and things that you just have to delegate, it requires a very genuine and very open and honest self-reflection. If I say I can do everything, which is probably many of the startup companies and owners of those startup companies are having, that, I can just do it all. Then after a time, you just feel it. You just feel that it's too much, and nothing comes out perfect because you are just doing a million things, and you don't want to delegate anything, which means you don't really want to face that in some areas it might be good for me to work with someone who really knows it, or in some areas it might be worthwhile for me to just listen and learn from somebody who has more experience than me.
Yeah. And what are the reasons? If you're not doing that, what are the reasons? Because that's something maybe you need to work on. Like maybe trust. Maybe you want to control because you're insecure, because there's trust things happening. So it all comes back to working on ourselves, doesn't it? But what do you say to people then? What about people who are just so successful, but they've never had a coach?
Same applies, you know. What is the next level then? You are just super successful, so what's next? You know, and how do you know what's next for you? You are super successful means something you are doing absolutely right, like you are phenomenal. But what's next? You know, so I mean, you're asking this what's next question, and you want to upscale, and you want to scale your business bigger, or you want to, you know, just jump that level. Then comes the question, do I know myself? Am I ready to face what I'm afraid of? You know, maybe yes, maybe no. So it's really interesting that a few days ago somebody sent me a message that, I feel stuck in my job and I really want to learn more about coaching, and I see that, you know, this is something you are doing, so what would you advise? You know, so I said, well, listen, just don't go to a coach. You know, don't go to a coach right away. Here are, you know, some books, some materials, videos. Lots of these webinars are available, you know, sharing knowledge. Have a look, try it out, maybe have a conversation with many people, and maybe you can work it out yourself. If not, and you decide to have a conversation with a coach, make sure that you do your homework and you check if the coach is qualified, certified, accredited, etc. You do the due diligence. You don't just go to anyone who says, oh, I'm a coach. You know?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
First do try it on your own and see. Maybe it works out. Because after all, it will come back to you. You cannot have a coach forever. And that's not the point. You can have a coach for some time. That's called an intervention. But after that, you know, it goes back to you. You still have to answer your own, you know, face your own fears, make friends with your saboteurs and limiting beliefs. You know, you still have to face and look at challenging situations. You still want to, you know, stand in your power.
I love that. And I've just, before we speak to David, I've had that experience as well. I don't know about you, where I've had like a first session with somebody and, you know, they're all really excited. It's like, oh, wow, this is amazing. I'm learning so much, this awareness, but then they disappear. And I think this is quite a common thing as well, because sometimes it can be extremely overwhelming. Like you're excited, you've learned, you found this new tool, but actually at the same time, maybe this awareness can be a curse as well. It's not a curse, but it can be considered a curse because you have to face things then. And sometimes people think, oh, it's easier just to carry on as I was, you know?
Actually, that's so true, you know, but it goes back to the point that you said that it's step by step. So maybe I'm not ready yet. That's fine. You know, I walk away 10 years from now, 2 years from now, 2 months from now, I will come back and knock on the door, you know, and say, Jasmine, I'm ready for that conversation.
Wow, exactly. And I think that's so important as well. Like when we're ready, like we don't have to be ready at a certain time, do we? There's no, like you said, it could be 10 years down the line. You know, we don't have to do anything, actually. Nothing's right or wrong, is it? I love that phrase from the coaching.
Yes. Yeah. And that's so empowering because we have that same phrase. We both co-active coaches. And we had that phrase in 2 of our courses where it said, nothing is right or wrong. Everything is right or wrong. 2 different courses had this sentence, you know, just phrased differently, which means everything that you are doing is your choice. And what's right and what's wrong, you decide what you consider to be right and what you consider to be wrong.
for
And
us.
based on what you decide is up to you.
Exactly. Hi, David. So David says a key point is what is the definition of success? At each new level of growing a business, success becomes redefined. That's true, isn't it? And that's very true, isn't it? Because it changes as well. Everything changes as we change.
Yes, exactly. And that goes back to a little bit to that introduction, So how you introduce yourself, who are you? It changes, as you said before we started live, it's every single live. And for me, it changes, probably every introduction, right?
Yeah.
Because in this context, this is how you define yourself. In that context, this is what you find important to share about you. So how you define yourself and how you define your business and and all the other concepts as well, what is considered to be a success, what is considered to be a challenge, a fear, etc., it all goes through that redefinition phase every time you're entering a new phase in your life.
Yeah, well, everything's changing all the time anyway, isn't it? Because we're always learning something.
Yeah,
everything's in a state of constant change.
Yes. And this constant change can trigger fear, or this constant change can just, create an equilibrium, a very nice balanced being, phase where you just say, well, things are changing, but I am me, and I keep being me and try to be the best version of me. And things around me can change. That's fine. Because I am changing as well. So kind of, very nicely overlaps.
It's actually freeing. It makes me feel free when you say that, because I feel like I'm not fixed, or I don't have to be a certain way. I can just be whoever I am whenever I am, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And also it reminds me of my big realization, that big that you referred to from a couple of probably weeks ago now, when I realized the power of the present moment, that when you are regretting something, when you are resenting something, when you are not letting go of something, be it person, money, relationship, whatever, you are in the past. When you have anxiety, when you have fear, when you have, uncertainty and that stomach feeling that, oh my God, where are things going? Then you very much in the future.
Wow.
You can choose to let go of it all and just decide always to be present in the present moment. And whatever present is, it changes by the nanosecond, So you always have that new choice, and you always have that moment to respond differently or create different things in your life. But realizing what is something you are holding on to in the past, or what is something you are afraid of in the future, they are big milestones, to say that I don't want to be in my past, and I don't want to be, worried about the future. I just want to be present in this moment, in this conversation with you.
Yeah. I love that. You said it so beautifully. And hi, Rashita. So true. We are lifelong learners. Yes, we definitely are. And I was going to say something, but with that speech you've just done, it's blown me away, and I've forgotten what I was going to say. But yeah, no, it's just so freeing. But yeah, I've completely forgot what I was going to say, Beatrice. But how is all of this then related to sustainability? And I know it is, but in your words, how would you say all of this? Because it's like a constant.
This is the key, when you say this is a constant change, this is constant effort, that constant part in it is how you are sustaining those efforts, how you are sustaining the energy, levels, like always keeping yourself, in those high energies. It requires you to be mindful, requires you to be in the present moment, not to let yourself, being pulled to one way or the other. So, and a kind of like conscious decision, choice, effort, trying, always making a new attempt. There is nothing wrong. If you fall back, you go again. You fall back, you go again. And that, maybe there's just a resilience practice.
Resilience.
So it's
But how
just
do we
related. And before I joined this talk, I just realized that when we say, for example, in 2023, now it's the year of sustainability in the UAE, what we are also looking at, when people say, well, reduce your carbon footprint, watch out how, recycling and how you are, reduce the amount of garbage and be more mindful and do your research where you are buying things from, and teach this to the younger generations and etc. Where we are heading is basically looking inwards, because this is all reconnecting with ourselves. It's not something that is so far-fetched and it's very distant, or I'm doing it because of the Amazonian rainforest. Of course, it's very important to me, but it's also important that I live in a nice environment, full of oxygen, full of people who are mindful and they are taking care of themselves, they are taking care of the environment. And this is something we can do together because we want to amplify that power. So to me, this sustainability movement is much more than just the environment related. It's also the connection with ourselves.
Yes, exactly. And that's why when you started saying that at the beginning, I thought, wow, I just wasn't expecting that. But I can see how, of course, it is all because we are one. It's all connected. We're all living with the same energy, or
yes, but we are also living with our choices. Am I buying from this company or this company? That makes a big difference, because maybe this company A, all they care about is just profit and selling and selling and selling, and always producing, which means more energy, more garbage, etc. Or am I choosing to buy from something homemade or made in the UAE or small manufacturers and supporting somebody who I know, or somebody from my community? Do I make efforts to look into that, or I'm just one of the mindless buyers, mindless consumers, who is just following ads and say, well, I need it all and I always need more. And that comes again, it kind of comes back to you and say, well, are you happy with yourself? Because if you are in need of something, then it means you're lacking something. So maybe look what you are lacking before you go out and buy something more from the malls.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think that is a perfect question to, well, I hate the word perfect, but that is a great question to end the live with. And maybe you could write that in the comments, because I think, wow, what a question. But so before we go, just a couple of things. I know you have a very exciting announcement to make. So please, can you feel free to make that announcement?
So I'm very excited to announce something that feels very big to me personally. I started out race coaching for education 2 years ago, and for now and today, I'm very excited and super proud to announce that this educational startup idea has been sold. And now race and coaching for education and the concept is going to hopefully grow and be very successful in the coming years. And now it is going to be managed by Jacob Hausa and his team, who has been in the background for a long time. And now he also decided to take it to the next level, take that ownership and manage this company and grow this company to the next level, to upscale it, to really make it bigger and more successful. So I'm definitely going to watch them from the background, but this is something that I'm very excited to announce, and I'm very excited to pass on
Yes.
Because it's a huge gratifying feeling for me to see that somebody believes in this idea and wants to take it on. And I'm very excited for them.
Amazing. Congratulations. And maybe you could put the link to Race in the comments as well. Not these comments, because it doesn't work on the actual post. So we the key questions and the links to Race, so our viewers can see as well and benefit from what Race is doing. And is there anything else you would like to say, Beatrice, before we go? How can people find you as well?
Well, it's very easy to find people on social media. So just, take my name, Google it, and then you will find everything you need to know about me. And I would just like to say thank you. Thanks for inviting me, and thank you for being so dedicated, Jasmine, and doing these live talks every week, showing up, spreading and the knowledge here, bringing in experts, being curious about other people's experiences. It really helps people who are interested in coaching, but they don't know where to start, or they are interested in self-empowerment, but they have no idea, what's the word out there. And you are bringing it like close to them, within reach. That's wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Beatrice. Always a pleasure to have you on. Always a pleasure. And thank you, everybody, for watching. If you have any comments, please feel free to message Beatrice directly, or me, myself, or leave a comment. And I will see you all next week. Thanks.